Welcome to Kinvent Talks, the podcast where cutting-edge sports science meets real-world performance. In this series, we're diving into the revolutionary K-Power sensor, a hybrid device that redefines how we measure speed, power, and movement quality both on the track and in the gym. From velocity-based training to force velocity profiling, we unpack how real-time data gives coaches and athletes an objective edge. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to training smarter, optimizing every rep, sprint, and lift. Whether you're a coach, athlete, or performance enthusiast, get ready to unlock the future of data-driven training.
If you're serious about performance, I mean really serious, whether you're lifting, sprinting, whatever, you know that feeling, right? That frustration, trying to move past just how a workout feels, or getting stuck in these rigid programs based on percentages from weeks ago. You're always looking for that edge, that objective data-driven advantage.
And that edge, that's exactly what we're diving into today. It's about making that leap, from feeling strong to actually knowing you're strong.
Yeah.
We're looking at two really powerful methodologies. Velocity-based training VBT, and force velocity profiling, or FV profiling. Our mission really is to unpack how measuring the speed of your movement gives you these objective, real-time insights. Insights into your daily readiness, but also ensuring every single rep, every sprint is actually doing what you want it to do, driving the right adaptation.
Yeah, and the basis for this deep dive, it comes from some pretty technical material around a new piece of kit, a hybrid sprint and VBT device. It's kind of a perfect example for us, showing how these advanced sports science ideas, things that used to be stuck in labs, are now becoming practical, like really accessible for coaches, for athletes, properly linking what happens in the weight room to performance on the track. Okay, so let's trace this back a bit. The tech itself, how we measure performance, it's got its own story, hasn't it? Always trying to get better data. We started pretty simple. Stopwatches, basic linear position transducers, things like that.
Right, but they only captured moments, didn't they? Like just the end point, a snapshot.
Exactly, just snapshots, not the full picture.
Then we saw a shift towards digital stuff. Accelerometers, optical trackers, they were definitely better, but often still had issues, continuity problems, or they didn't work well in certain environments. Now, the kind of tech we're talking about today, using things like ultra-wideband UWB, it's a different ballgame. These sensors can be tiny, super efficient with battery life, which is crucial, and maybe most importantly, they're built tough, rugged enough for, real athletic settings, get thrown around a bit.
So it's not just the UWB tech itself, it's what that tech enables. Reliable data pretty much anywhere the athlete trains.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the real innovation here is that it's a hybrid system. Works just as well tracking sprint speed on the track as it does measuring bar speed on a squat in the gym.
Ah, okay. One device for both.
Yeah. And you get instant feedback, real-time data zipping straight to the coach's screen. Plus automated rep counting, which is handy. And maybe the killer feature. Cloud connectivity. Think about that. A coach can track long-term trends, see patterns, even coach athletes remotely based on hard performance data, not just, how did that feel?
All right, let's shift focus into the weight room. Traditionally, it's all about the 1RM, right? Your 1 rep max. And programs prescribe loads like 75% of that max if you want strength power or something. So why are we now saying that approach is, well, maybe a bit arbitrary? Percentages seem to work okay for a long time.
They worked, but they weren't precise. They made a big assumption that your strength on any given day is constant, like your 1RM is fixed. And here's the kicker, the stat that really makes you stop and think. Research clearly shows an athlete's actual maximum strength can swing wildly. We're talking up to plus or minus 18% around that tested 1RM day to day.
Hold on, 18%? That's huge. I mean, I've definitely had days where, say, 70% felt like lifting a house. Maybe it wasn't just me being grumpy. Maybe my actual capacity was down that day.
Exactly. That's precisely it. If the program says do 80%, but you're having an 18% off day, you're not training at 80%. You're actually grinding closer to like 95% intensity relative to your current capacity. That just guarantees excessive fatigue, maybe poor form. It's counterproductive. VBT is crucial because it fixes that. It auto-regulates. Instead of just chasing a static weight on the bar, the coach uses the speed of the bar in real time. They can adjust the load up or down to keep you in that scientifically proven optimal intensity zone every single session.
Okay, so it helps pick the right weight for the day, but you also mentioned managing fatigue within a session. How does the sensor help with that, knowing when to stop a set?
Good question. It uses what we call velocity loss thresholds. So the coach might set a specific threshold beforehand. Let's say maybe a 10% drop in bar speed compared to the very first rep of that set. That 10% drop isn't arbitrary. It's an objective biological flag. It signals that acute fatigue is setting in, that performance quality is declining. So the moment the bar speed crosses that threshold, bam, stop the set. This prevents grinding out reps that aren't really contributing positively, what some call junk volume. It ensures every rep is high-quality stimulus, and it helps preserve the athlete's central nervous system capacity for the rest of the workout or week.
And the cool part is that different goals, different training effects actually correspond to different bar speeds, right? It connects the why directly to the how fast.
Absolutely, it maps directly. If your goal is developing rapid force explosiveness, you need to be moving that bar faster than, say, 1.3 meters per second, training for speed strength. You're aiming for that zone between maybe 1.0 and 1.3 meters per second. If power output is the main goal, you're typically in that middle range, maybe 0.75 to 1.00 meters per second. And for that pure, grinded out maximal strength, particularly on big compound lifts, you need to be consistently moving below 0.75 meters per second. VBT just gives you that immediate objective feedback. No more guesswork about whether you're actually training the quality you intend to train.
That auto-regulation with VBT is clearly powerful, but how do we make sure we're even picking the right type of training, the right velocity zone for a specific athlete? I guess that's where the track data comes in, the FV profiling you mentioned. What's that telling us diagnostically?
Exactly. FV profiling is the diagnostic tool. It looks at sprint acceleration and tells us how an athlete produces force horizontally at different running speeds. The real power comes from identifying imbalances in their individual profile. This allows for truly personalized training. We generally see two main types of imbalance. First, you might have a force-deficient athlete. This is someone who might look pretty smooth at top speed, good mechanics maybe, but their initial drive phase out of the blocks is weak. They struggle to put high levels of force into the ground quickly to accelerate. They need to boost what we call, for dollars say, their maximal theoretical force.
So their bottleneck is basically raw force production capacity at the start.
Correct. And the training prescription becomes pretty clear. More force-oriented work. Think heavy sled pulls, resisted sprints, things that directly challenge and improve that maximal force output. Then you have the opposite profile, the velocity-deficient athlete. These athletes often have a great start, really powerful drive, they generate lots of force at low speeds, but they kind of top out early. They lack the mechanics, maybe the limb speed or elastic qualities needed to keep accelerating to and maintain really high velocities. They need to boost their V-dollars, their maximal theoretical velocity.
Right, so their limiting factor is the speed end of the spectrum.
Precisely. So their training needs to shift towards velocity-oriented drills, things like overspeed towing, where they're pulled slightly faster than they can run, or flying sprints, focusing on hitting top speed. And what's really compelling in the source material is finding that addressing this specific individual FV imbalance, well, it leads to significantly larger improvements in overall sprint times compared to just doing generic acceleration drills. Because you're targeting the actual weak link in their neuromuscular chain, it leads to much more efficient propulsion. And this is where it all ties together, right? This integrated ecosystem, the feedback loop connecting the track analysis directly to the gym work. It essentially works in about 4 stages. Step 1, profile. Use the sensor on the track to figure out the athlete's sprint imbalance. Are they force deficient or velocity deficient? Step 2, select. Based on that profile, you choose specific gym exercises aimed at the precise VBT load velocity zones that are going to directly address that weakness. Step 3, monitor. Use VBT constantly in the gym. Real-time monitoring to auto-regulate their load based on daily readiness, ensuring every set is actually hitting that target adaptation zone. And finally, step 4, reprofile. Periodically, you bring them back to the track, run the FDAV profile again, and check if the gym interventions have successfully shifted their curve in the desired direction.
That whole system hinges on getting really accurate data in the weight room. And one thing that stood out was realizing that bar speed isn't just one thing. You mentioned mean, peak, and propulsive velocity. What's the difference? And which one should a coach really be paying attention to?
Yeah, that's a critical distinction, understanding what part of the movement you're measuring. So mean concentric velocity is just the average speed of the bar during the entire upward phase of the lift, from bottom to top. This metric is pretty good for traditional strength lifts, like a heavy squat or deadlift, where there's often a deliberate slowing towards the end.
Okay, and peak concentric velocity.
That's the absolute highest speed the bar reaches at any single instant during the lift. You typically look at peak velocity for more ballistic movements, explosive lifts like power cleans, jump squats, things where you really want to capture that maximal explosive intent, that fastest moment. But If you want the cleanest, most reliable signal for prescribing load and monitoring fatigue, especially for strength work, you really want to look at mean propulsive
That's
velocity
pulsive. Why is that one the gold standard?
because it's smarter. It isolates only the part of the lift where the athlete is actively overcoming gravity and accelerating the bar upwards. Technically, it only averages the velocity during the portion where acceleration is greater than or equal to negative 9.81 meters per second squared, i.e., when the applied force exceeds the force of gravity. It essentially filters out the deceleration phase at the top of the lift, where the athlete might be intentionally slowing down. This gives you the purest measure of their actual effort and force production during the driving phase. Makes it the most precise indicator for load selection and fatigue monitoring.
Makes sense. And tying it back to the track again, the sensor isn't just doing FD profiling, it's also giving other key sprint metrics, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You get outputs like early acceleration splits, 5 meter, 10 meter times average acceleration across a distance, of course, maximal velocity,
Wow.
and crucially, mean horizontal power. Being able to compare the power numbers you see in the gym during VBT work with the horizontal power generated on the track. That gives you direct evidence of whether your training is actually transferring.
Okay, theory is great, but let's make this concrete. Let's walk through that case study, Warren, the powerlifter doing squats. It really shows the autoregulation principle. So the goal for him was strength speed work. The coach wanted his mean concentric velocity to stay within a specific band, 0.75 to 0.85 meters per second.
Right. So Warren warms up, feels pretty good. The coach puts 145 kilos on the bar, believing this load should put him right in that target velocity zone. And set 1 looks great. First rep is maybe 0.88 meters. Last rep drops to maybe 0.78 meters, perfectly within the target range. High quality stimulus. Set 2 is similar, maybe starts at 0.86 meters, ends around 0.75 meters. Still good, consistent. They're definitely getting the desired training effect.
But then comes set 3, same weight, 145 kilos. And this is where the real-time data makes the decision.
Exactly. Rep 1 comes up solid, maybe 0.82 meters, still in the zone. Rep 2 drops a bit, maybe 0.76 meters, still okay. But then rep 3, he grinds it up, and the sensor instantly flashes the speed, 0.71 meters per second. Immediately, the coach sees 2 red flags pop up on the tablet. First, the speed itself, 0.71, has dropped below the minimum target threshold of 0.75 meters. And second, perhaps more importantly, that 0.71 represents more than a 10% drop in velocity compared to the speed of the first rep of that same set, which was 0.82 meters. So the numbers are basically yelling, okay, we're done here. Pretty much. The objective data is clear. Fatigue is accumulated to the point where the quality of movement, the neuromuscular stimulus, is no longer optimal for the strength speed goal. So the coach makes the call right then and there based on that data. Rack the bar. They end the squat workout for the day. They don't push Warren to grind out another rep or 2 just because the program might have originally said 3 sets of 5. That's VBT, enabling objective autoregulation in practice. They train precisely, hit the stimulus needed, and stop before accumulating excessive fatigue or risking bad form.
That transition, that fundamental shift, moving away from just guessing based on percentages or feel, and instead using real-time objective data like velocity to guide the effort. That really feels like the core takeaway here. This whole deep dive, it just highlights how leveraging these velocity insights unlocks a new level of efficiency and precision in training. And the technology, like the hybrid sensor we discussed, is finally making these powerful scientific concepts accessible and practical for everyday coaching. It bridges that gap.
Yeah, and if you pull back and look at the bigger picture, this level of precision with VBT and FV profiling, it offers a completely new lens for thinking about long-term performance management. Think about it. If we can now objectively define exactly how fast you need to move a weight or how you need to produce force on the track to elicit a specific desired adaptation, like knowing for sure that maximal strength gains require moving below 0.75 meters per second on that lift, well, that gives coaches and athletes incredible control. So here's the thought to leave you with. What does this newfound precision truly mean for managing injury risk, for optimizing an athlete's longevity in their sport? If you know objectively the precise moment the quality of effort starts to decline, and you can step in instantly based on data, not guesswork, you're truly enabling athletes to train smarter, not just harder. So I'd encourage you to really consider, how could these velocity insights fundamentally redefine your concept of what peak effort means and how you approach training sustainability for the long haul?